You're listening to Creator Conversations. This is a series dedicated to inspiring and encouraging up and coming digital entrepreneurs with the stories of creators who have built their businesses online. Today, I'm joined by Femi Stevens, and he runs Lala Vision. Femi, thank you so much for joining me today.
My pleasure.
I really appreciate you taking the time. We got to talk a little bit beforehand, and you were already just sharing some great wisdom. And so I'm really eager to dive into some of that and get to know more about your story and how you got started and the things that you've learned along the way. So you ready to dive in?
Yeah, sure. I have a platform. Obviously, my platform is called Lala Vision, and it's born out of my own personal experience. When I started out doing very odd jobs to pay the bills. And then I went to university, and I went to university. I studied IT at university, and then over the years, I then realized that there are a lot of people who were in my shoes, so to speak, that were doing very odd jobs, but didn't have an opportunity to learn a skill per se, quote unquote, IT. And so I decided to build an online platform where I could get people who had that aspiration, who probably didn't have the time to go to university or get a formal education to actually try their hands at learning IT and going out and getting jobs. And that's where the whole idea came from. Because obviously over the years I have like about 15 years experience in the industry. So I have a wealth of knowledge and I know what employers are looking for. And so I had to tailor my content towards getting people skilled with the skill set they need to go out there and get jobs in the IT field. And
Yeah.
that's where that all started from.
So it's not just about, or it's not about learning IT skills necessarily as much as it is about learning the other things that they don't necessarily teach you in order to be able to work in IT.
Absolutely. So if you look at it this way, it's not specifically to just give you information, but it's more to basically give you that sort of transformation. That's how I'll put it. So basically, you get the information, but without the because basically what I try to set my course aside from others is that other courses give you information. They try and get you on a course and try and get you to write an exam and pass the exam, and you end up with a certificate. But that's not my whole objective. My objective was to give you the skills as well as getting you into employment. So that's the difference. And Lala Vision might sound like a very odd name.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that? I'm really curious to know where
that
name came from.
Right. Okay. So my first name is Femi. Now Femi is the background of Femi is it's a Nigerian name, and my nickname is Lala. So it's basically basically what people say is when they call you Femi Lala. So the Lala bit is the bit that I put on the vision. Now the vision is basically my vision. So it's my vision of what I'm trying to portray, what I'm trying to give out. But obviously I needed a domain name, which obviously Vision was not available. Mm-hmm. So I just basically changed the S to a Z, and that's where the Lala Vision came about. And I liked it, so I ran with it. So why not?
Yeah, that's very cool. A lot of times we tend to spend maybe too much time sometimes trying to think of the like what the name is going to be and kind of fuss over that instead of just building a really solid brand around whatever we can find that actually works. So
I think that's key.
That's really
I think what you've just said there, I think that is key. I think it's not so much about the name of what you call it, but it's about the brand itself. As long as you can market your brand, I mean, you're in for a winner. But if you start to focus too much on the name, then I think you're basically looking in the wrong direction, and that is key. That's actually key.
So tell me a little bit more about the moment you decided to shift from just having a career in IT to teaching others how to do it, was there a specific catalyst, something that happened, or was it just something that kind of gradually occurred to you over time?
Okay, that's a good point. So over the years, I have been training people in IT. I'm responsible for a number of people's careers in IT as I speak. I've had people who used to be, security guards, people who've worked in healthcare, and this is all offline, by the way. I've basically taught them, taken them under my wing, and made them. I mean, over the years, I've got people who are now like business analysts. I've got a guy who's an IT manager who used to work in a golf store. So I've done it offline for a number of years.
Okay.
And it just dawned on me that, I could reach a wider audience, using the same methods. And then I just decided to, put my content, just put my content online. And obviously it took a while for me to put the contents together. And that was basically it. It was just one of those things where I sat back and I saw that a lot of people were doing it. But, I've been on courses myself, obviously over the years you go on career development courses. But I realized that all these courses I've been on are courses that are just geared towards you getting a qualification at the end of it, which I felt to me basically defeated the purpose of what I was trying to achieve. And I thought, why not just go out there and do something different? Rather than give people information and train them to go and write an exam and pass it and get a certificate at the end of it, why don't just give them the skills they need to go and sit in front of an employer and get a job? I think that is more beneficial to an individual. That's in my opinion.
Yeah.
That was the catalyst, basically.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And so when you decided to do this, what were some of the first to make that idea and that vision of that you had a reality?
Okay, so the very first thing I had to do was I had to basically define what I was going to be teaching, basically, because IT is a very wide area. It's very vast. The different aspects, different pockets of IT. So I had to be specific to know what the channel of my contents, what the channel will be. So I just basically got a book, and over time, you basically list out your topics, and then you start to expand on these topics. Some of your ideas, you throw them away because you feel, nah, that's too specific, or it doesn't fit into what you're trying to achieve. And then over the years, you find out not over the years, it wasn't, I think I spent like about 3 months putting my contents together. Yeah. And then over time, you then have a body of work, and then you can basically expand on that. And then, over time as well, you want to actually see what it will look like online. So, it's one thing to have a notebook where you're writing down your ideas, but again, you actually want to see it in in reality. And I then went on and did a bit of research to see what platforms I could use. And then I did a bit of research. I was looking at different products, and then I came upon Podia, and that was where I then did a test run. I put a couple of my slides, and then looked at it and just saw how it looked, and I kind of liked it. And I thought, okay, I think I can work with this. Again, the price point was actually another thing, which wasn't too scary, because obviously if you're testing something out, you gave you 14 days free, a trial period. And then again, obviously within 14 days, not really much you can achieve, because obviously bear in mind I had my own 9 to 5. So, you didn't really, it's not like I was focusing on it 100%. And then over time I felt, you know what, I think I can work with this. And that was it, really. So the very first thing is, I had to make sure that I had my ideas intact. There's no point, because obviously you need your content. That's basic. And then it then depends on how you then deliver the content. And I think just one more thing I need to add. I think what people need to understand is when you're trying to deliver content, you have to be very patient and meticulous about it. It's not something that you feel, because it's for public consumption. And you need to bear that in mind. So you need to make sure that obviously when you're putting your content out, it's up to a standard that you yourself would accept if you were the person on the other end buying it. my content, I had to do it twice. I did it twice. I did the first one and then scrapped it and did it again. Because obviously, it was like a first run. And then I thought, okay, I've gotten the hang of this. I think I can do it a bit better now. And then I went over it again the second time. And then now, I'm kind of pleased with the content and the results.
Tell me a little bit more about some of the strategy you use to get people from where they find you on social media, or where they connect with you on social media, to your course content.
Okay, so basically, obviously, it's about trying to create awareness for the course. So what I've done is I have a free guide, which is a separate content. So I basically did a recording and just given them a brief overview of what the course entails, trying to explain to people why they should consider a career in IT. I'm trying to sell it to them and making them understand that, forget about the myth where you think that to work in IT, you have to be a computer whiz kid or you have to be a genius. No, that's far from the truth. And I've explained why they can do it, and it's just there. It's free content, and I go on the social media and basically say, look, you can do this. Check it out for free. And obviously, when they want to check it out, they subscribe. They give their emails, and they get the content for free. And then that leads them into the course itself to say, okay, you understand this concept. If you want the course costs X amount. And that's basically something I learned on the Podia website. Like I said, it's my first time. I have never, launched an online course before. But obviously, going onto the Podia website, I looked at ways in which you can market your course, and I can see about the sales funnel, creating a sales funnel. And I basically learned from that, and I basically went back and implemented it, and it works.
Very, very cool. Yeah. So you're using a lead magnet, something that you're giving away for free, and that's one of the things I really love about the way that it works on the Podia platform is when people sign up for whatever that free thing is, they're providing their email address and their contact information, and essentially they're starting a relationship with the creator of that product. So and then you can lead them further into what you have to offer from that point. So that's really cool. So the next thing I wanted to ask you about was what as you've been kind of developing this business, what were some of the challenges you experienced along the way, and maybe some things that you had to really work hard to overcome that maybe didn't come as naturally?
Okay, yeah, there's a lot. Like I said, it's new. This is based. I like fish out of waters, but I'm one of those people who I love challenges. And obviously, there's a saying that says, if you can't see far ahead, go as far as you can, and then when you get to that point, you can then see beyond. So certain things, apart from the creation of the creating of the whole content, was what I thought was going to be the most difficult part. But obviously, once I basically got over that hurdle, it then got to a point of, okay, now I've got the content, I need to sell it. So it was there I started creating created the lead magnet. But then again, you need to again put the lead magnet in front of people. Mm-hmm. And then you obviously need to go and start creating ads. So that was another thing where I had to learn how to use Facebook ads. I had to learn that as well. I've sifted through tons of YouTube videos, trying to know how to get your audience, how to get the right audience. I've created different campaigns. I've deleted them. Again, it's new. I'm new to the whole thing, so I'm bound to make mistakes. And I'm also bound to be impatient, and that's another key. Patience is key.
Right. Yep.
It's not going to happen overnight. So I tell you, I give you an experience of mine. I created a campaign, and then first day, second day, I didn't see any result. Third day, I didn't see any results. I went and deleted it and created a new one. First day, second day, nothing. I went back, had to fine tune it. Then I just sat down and said, wait a minute, why am I just doing this? Why don't I just give it time to breathe?
Yeah.
And so I then went back and created another campaign and left it. It was on day 4. that I started getting people signing up. So if I was patient enough, I would have gotten results even about 6 days before, but I had to just go wait till the first day, second day. Obviously, I didn't want to put all my money into, because obviously Facebook ads, it costs money, but I basically went the low end. So I was paying like £5 a day, which is basically, bottom of the ladder. I'm not going to expect a miraculous result from £5. But then obviously when I started getting the result, then I had to up my budget, and the result has been amazing. So now I know what to do in terms of if I'm going to start another campaign, I know what audience to contact. I know how to basically what my strategy is going to be like. And also I've gone to YouTube as well. I've created an advert on YouTube, put it out there. I put it out there I think 2 days ago. The ad hasn't been approved as yet. I'm still waiting for the approval. Once that comes through, that's going to be another source of advertisement. And then again, I've got an event coming up, an Instagram live event, where I'm going to talk about, the course. So it's just basically you putting yourself out there, and it's just one of those things which, like I said, it's new to me. So I'm learning as I'm going along, which is quite interesting. It's quite exciting times.
Yeah, and I really love how you're talking about it too, because I think for a lot of creators, when they're considering getting into some of those, like they've got the thing that they know how to do, that they know how to teach other people. And then there are all these other peripheral skill sets that you kind of have to acquire in order to get people to that. And that can feel really overwhelming and daunting. And so, can you, that saying that you shared kind of at the very beginning of that section, you have to get to a place before you can see beyond it. Can you kind of share that with me again?
I forgot, what did I say? I said, if you can't, hold on, let me get it, because I have it on my Instagram page.
Okay, yeah.
Word for word. So it says, go as far as you can see. When you get there, you will be able to see further.
Okay, yeah, I like that so much, because I think a lot of times, and it's a combination of, like, well, I don't know what to do when I get there, and I've never done this before, and like all of these fears that kind of crowd into our minds, and I like how that statement just kind of says, go as far as you can see. Don't worry about what's beyond that, because that could be anything. Like, and you're probably imagining the worst case scenario, which some people have a tendency to do. But yeah,
Ben,
that attitude.
Can I share this really quickly?
Yeah.
I want whoever is watching this right now and you plan on becoming an online creator, I want you to understand one thing. I have never done this before. This is my first attempt. And it's just about getting your ideas and making it happen. That's all it is. And there's obviously, we're all human beings. A time will come where you'll start to have doubts will start to creep in, you're not going to be sure of yourself. But that shouldn't stop you from doing it. Just go ahead. And even if it's going to take you 3 months, 5 months, 6 months, 9 months, you start a step at a time. And before you know it, you would have your hands full, and then you'll be having to worry about something else. And that's just how it all happens. That's how it happened for me. It happened from, my first point was, how do I screen record? What software do I use? I had to start looking for software to use, because I predominantly work on Windows. But I then said, okay, I need to get a Mac. So I got an iMac, and then I use that for my screen recording. That's one problem solved. And then you carry on along and you go, okay, how am I going to build my slides? What do I use? All right, PowerPoint is out there. I can get PowerPoint, use that. That's another problem out of the way. Then you start to move on. And then before you know it, you have a whole body of work. And then the least of your worries will now be, what's my body of work going to be? You're now going to start thinking along the lines of, how do I make revenue from this? So you see that the point, from the very first point where I was thinking about what software to use, has now transformed into, how do I make revenue? And then when you start getting your sales in, you start to think of how do I make more money or how do I retain my customers. So it's all like an exciting journey.
Mm-hmm.
And I sometimes wonder if I had to do this. Say for instance, I didn't have the platform, I didn't have the Podia platform. How would I have done it? It would have been so difficult. But people should just need to, if you're interested in doing this, just go ahead and do it. Don't let anything stop you. By the time you start, you take a step, before you know it, you started to sprint. And that's just the way it is.
That's awesome. I love that advice. Thank you very much for sharing that. Can you tell me a little bit about, because it sounds like, there are definitely challenges to overcome, and you've got a really great attitude and outlook that's helped kind of propel you through those things. What were some of the wins, some of the things that motivated or inspired you along the way that kind of pulled you through, if that makes sense?
Okay, I think for me, it's not about the wins. But me, it's about the conviction.
Mm-hmm.
I think and this goes for everything in life. As long as one person believes in what you're doing, you will succeed. That's all you need. You just need one person, and that one person has to be you. That's all it is. And that for me, it was a conviction. I believed so much in what I was trying to do. So each time I met an obstacle, to me it was just another day in the office. I thought, okay, well, you're here, and I'm gonna find a solution. Obviously, working in IT, you understand that for every problem, there is always a solution. You might not know what the solution is, but that solution exists somewhere, and that's my mindset. So that was what was my overall driving force, was the fact that I had the conviction, and I believed in so much. I believed so much in my product, and that was basically it. So there's certain times I had to come back from work, and I'll work through the night. I'll work through the night because I wanted the peace and quiet. I needed to focus, and I'll basically put my headphones on, and I'm recording and I'm editing, and then the next morning I just go to bed, and it was just one of those things where, because I believed in it so much, that was what basically pulled me through. I don't think at that point there was anything else that would have come through that would have basically thrown me off course. So that was it. And again, like I said, as long as you believe in what you're doing, if you don't believe in it, then why are you doing it? You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, if you don't believe in what you're doing, then if you hit a little stumbling block, it's going to throw you off, and you're going to get discouraged because the conviction isn't there from the onset. And that was it for me.
So was there anything that you did that helped you cultivate that conviction, that helped you kind of deepen the belief that you had in what you were doing?
Anything specific?
Yeah, I guess I mean, some people like they'll look at themselves in the mirror and speak affirmations and like have practices and that kind of thing, or some people attribute it to like the way they were raised and somebody kind of taught them that. But what was that for you?
For me, it's basically, I think it's something I've basically built over time. Mm-hmm. It's something that I've built over time. I have come to realize that to get what you want, you have to basically believe. And this, something I've done is, like I said, I've been in the industry for over 16 years. And it's from the very onset. Before I got into IT, I was turned down. A lot of people didn't, I didn't have the experience. It's one of those things where you finish university, you're trying to get a job, and they want experience. And there's no way I'm going to get experience if I've just finished university. So I went for interviews, and I got turned away because I didn't have the skills, I didn't have experience. All I had was a certificate that said I'd finished university. And over time, it kind of builds you. You kind of become very resilient. Like, okay, I know I want this, so I'm going to go for it. I wasn't going to settle for less because there were other jobs that I could have done, but I knew I wanted to go into IT, and that was basically my goal. And over time, you start to cultivate this whole thing. It starts to become part of you, and it then reflected in everything I did going forward. And I've worked in different establishments, I've worked in different organizations, I've headed departments, I've been a project manager in certain organizations. So it's basically built me to who I am today. So it got to a stage that even in my own personal life as well, that same attitude it shines through. So on this project as well, I saw it as a project because I've worked on projects for other organizations, and I thought this is my own project. So why not just give it the best? And so each time I hit a stumbling block, I just basically said, you know what? Sometimes you just have to. Sometimes you just leave it. You leave it alone, and then come back to it maybe 2-3 days later. Because sometimes when you're stuck in the moment, you don't actually see the wood for the trees, and you start to get all worked up, and you just leave it and just walk away and go, you know what? It's another day in the office. I'll come back to it, and then when you come back to it, you can see it clearer, and then have a solution. That was it for me, basically.
I want to pull out something really important you touched on there, is just this idea that sometimes we will pour ourselves into work or projects that we're doing for other people or for other organizations, but then when it comes to our own projects, our personal things, something kind of holds us back, or we second guess ourselves. And so one of the things that I think is really powerful about this idea of cultivating a belief in yourself is you want to bring the same level of work to your own personal projects, and to have that same level of expectation as you would for anything else you do, and not sell yourself short. So I really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
So tell me, just kind of thinking ahead in the next 5 to 10 years, what is your vision for Lala Vision? What are you seeing in the future for your business?
So in the future, I want to have at least 5 different courses of different levels. And this is again born out of my experience. Like I said, I'm working on my 3rd course at the moment. I've got a bit of experience on how the whole thing works. So I think it's going to be a smoother transition for me this time around. So the whole goal is to have 5 different courses at different levels. So the course I'm selling now is an entry level course, and the idea is once you get your foot in the door, there are also progression levels where you can actually upskill, because there's in IT there are very different pockets that you can be very specific, or you can basically generalize. So I'm trying to get like the specific areas of IT, which I believe, because again, when I started out, there are certain areas where it took me a while to get my head around. And these are topics where you go to Amazon and you buy a book, and the book is that big. Mm-hmm. And so these are topics that are very engaging, and I'm going to basically break it down so that the layman can go through the course and understand it and grasp it in its totality. And then again, I'm looking at the brand, the Lala Vision brand. I'm trying to get it to make it a brand itself in its own right. And so basically everything I do now, I have my logo on it, even on my phone, my WhatsApp status. It's got the logo on my Instagram page or Twitter page. So I'm just basically pushing it out there, so everyone, when you see, you kind of identify the brand, you know what the brand is about. And then, who knows? With branding, you can go, I could start to sell merch, for instance.
Yeah, so you can expand into other things, yeah.
And that goes to say that, you just go as far as you can see, and then when you get there, you can see beyond. But now I know what my vision is. I know what I'm trying to achieve. I'm trying to get these courses out there, sell these courses, gather a following, get people to believe in what you're doing. Because I believe in my product, so I can easily, and that's the thing, because I believe in my product, I can easily sell it to people, and tell them that this is what I say it is. and then get people to also engage and say, look, this is what it is. I'm telling you that this is a proven method of doing XYZ. Go ahead and try it out. And I think the possibilities. I think the internet has opened a gateway that you can do certain things that you couldn't do in the past. You can do it now. From even the confines of your living room.
Yeah, and
very
I'll
great.
tell you, working at a company where we help creators share online courses and that kind of thing, I've been surprised and by the very specific things people teach and make good money off of selling online. And so, if you're listening to this and you've got an idea that you think, oh, nobody would buy a course about that, you never know. It's try it out, and that's the only way you're going to find out, is if you actually put it out there. So I want to set this up in a couple of ways, because I'm sure at some point folks who are listening in our audience might be interested in getting into starting a career in IT. And certainly folks who are listening may be thinking about developing their own digital business and want to kind of check you out and see how you've got things set up. So where would you direct people to find you online if they want to check out their business, and then if they want to connect with you personally?
Okay, so if you want to check out the business, you go to my website. It's www.lalavision.com. Lalavision is spelled LALAVIZION, and that's .com. The same spelling on Instagram, Lalavision, LALAVIZION on Instagram, and same on Twitter. On Facebook as well, Lalavision IT. If you want to go into IT, by all means, you do not. I keep saying this, and this is basically my selling point. I keep saying this: you do not need any experience, and you do not need any qualifications. All you need is the skills. And I say this because I've worked in IT myself for 16 years, and I've employed people. I've sat through numerous interviews, and not for once have I looked at anyone's qualifications. And as long as you have the skill set to do the job, that's all that matters. And if you want to create content as well, my advice to you is just do it. But the key thing there is you need to believe in yourself. That's all that matters. If you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to get anywhere, because you're going to hit stumbling blocks, you're going to hit obstacles, you're going to hit hurdles that if your belief isn't spot on, you will give up. And that's just the basic truth. You have to have that conviction in what you're doing, so that every hurdle that presents itself, you should be able to surmount it and just go ahead with it. But if you're shaky, if you feel that, I just want to try it out and see how it goes, then don't waste your time. And that's just key.
Well, I really appreciate that. That's fantastic advice, and I hope folks who are listening really take that to heart, so they can experience the kind of success you are running after in your business. So, Femi, thank you so much for spending some time with me today, and for telling your story. Before we close, is there anything else you'd like to share?
No, not really. I think I've kind of said that I kind of want to. I want to basically let people know that if you're in a situation that you are not happy with, you can do things. You can do something about it. That's just a mantra. If you are in a situation and you feel, okay, I'm downtrodden and I'm unhappy and I'm sad, or I'm not getting enough money, you can do something about your situation. And it's all about you sitting down and reflecting. It might take you a month to do that. Just sit back and reflect. What can I do? What skills do I have? If you want to be a course creator, just go ahead, and if there's something specific, something that and that I'm very good at, let's think about ways of how you can create an online course. The possibilities are endless. Again, you have to believe in yourself. That's key. Again, if you want to go out and work for someone, go out and just find your skill set and go do it. And that's just we fall and we rise, and that's just part of life. So I mean, if you're watching this today, you just do something about your situation. Don't think that you fall. They say fall down 6, stand up 7. And that's just it. I mean, that's my parting message. Whoever's listening and whoever is listening, or whoever this might concern, but just believe in yourself. That's key.
Awesome. Well, Femi, thanks again so very much. And again, if you want to check out Femi's work, go to LalaVision, LalaVizion.com. Check him out, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.